Hi, this is Renata for the Life Manifestation School community. Um, Welcome to Frequency Friday. Today we're working on 14.1. So if you've been following the series, we're exploring each of the preset frequencies on the JU1000 and looking at ways they can be incorporated into manifestation practice. As always, what I share here is based on my own experience and the teachings of my dad, Karl Hans Welz. These ideas are intended as a personal development and meditation practice. I encourage you to experiment and discover what works best for you. My dad always encouraged people to also, figure out your own way. Use your intuition. So, yeah. So this is the J1000, which you can get for $399 on the link in the description for the order form, and we're going to switch it to 14.1. So we've already done, in this series, we've already done 7.83 hertz, which is the grounding frequency to the Schumann resonance. And we did 10.1, or 10 hertz, I think it's 10.0, 10 hertz last week. This week we're working with 14.1. So this is the PFC 2400 HD, where you can set frequencies yourself and it goes a lot higher. You can go up to close to 1,000 hertz. But I have this one set around 14.1. And then on the J1000, 14.1 is one of the presets. So we're looking at 14.1. For me, this is a good frequency to use for inspired action. So I have the inspired action trend energy card. I don't know if you can see it. So this is inspired action. I take inspired action that brings me closer to my goals every day. So it's a good one for working on goals. So we've been building the foundation over the past couple of weeks. With 7.83 hertz, we talked about grounding ourselves and creating a stable place to begin. Last week with 10 hertz, we explored relaxed focus and visualization, spent time becoming clear about what we wanted and creating an environment that supported that intention. Eventually, clarity has to become action. Visualization is important. Setting intentions is important. Creating trends is important, but at some point we have to move. Today's frequency reminds me that manifestation isn't only about imagining a different future, it's also about participating in creating it. One thing I appreciated about my dad's teaching is he never described manifestation as simply waiting for something, as simply wishing for something and waiting. He talked about creating trends, creating an environment, influencing probabilities. He also expected people to participate. I've always liked the analogy of sailing a boat. The wind can be blowing exactly where you want to go. The current could be moving in your favor. Unless you raise the sails and steer the boat, you aren't going anywhere. The trend is like the wind, your actions are the sail, and both matter. I think this is where 14.1 hertz fits into the progression. So we're working through a progression with our series of Frequency Fridays. You ground yourself, become clear, then take action. Not frantic action, not action driven by fear. Intentional, inspired action. Sometimes we delay because we're waiting until everything feels certain. We want to know the entire path before taking the first step. Obviously you can't. Life rarely works that way. More often than not, clarity comes because we started moving. We send the email, we publish the video, we make the phone call, we apply for the opportunity, we have the conversation we've been avoiding. Every action teaches us something. Each small step gives us new information we couldn't have learned by simply thinking about it. One thing my dad talked about quite a bit was giving a trend enough time to work. People would ask him, how long should I run the trend? And they would want a specific answer, a few hours, a week, 30 days. But his answer was most often much simpler. He would say to keep the trend running until you've reached your goal, or until it's clear that the trend itself needs to be adjusted. I think that's an important perspective because we live in a world that expects instant results. We plant the seed today and expect flowers tomorrow, but manifestation doesn't work like that. Think about planting a garden. You don't plant a seed and then dig it up the next morning to see if it's growing. You water it, you care for it, you give it sunlight, and then you trust the process enough to let it develop. Manifestation is much the same. You establish the trend, you continue participating in that trend. You observe what changes, and if necessary, you make thoughtful adjustments. My dad encouraged people not to constantly restart everything simply because they became impatient. Sometimes the first signs of progress are subtle. A new idea appears. Someone reaches out unexpectedly. You notice an opportunity you might have ignored before. Your perspective begins to shift. They're all changes worth paying attention to. Rather than abandoning your trend every few days, allow it time to unfold while continuing to take inspired action. Consistency often produces far more than constantly starting over. One thing I see quite often in the school community is people begin experimenting with trend energy cards and cheat cards. At first, they're trying to understand how everything works. They begin the journaling, meditating, observing. Eventually, they stop worrying so much about whether they're doing everything perfectly. They simply begin practicing consistently. That's where the real learning happens. Experience becomes your teacher. Action doesn't have to be dramatic. Inspired action is often surprisingly ordinary. Maybe today it's sending one email, cleaning your workspace, reading 10 pages of a book, recording the video you've been putting off, taking a walk while reflecting on your goal, organizing your notes, making one phone call. Small actions matter because they create momentum. Momentum makes the next action easier. And before long, the small actions begin adding up to something much larger. If you're using the trend energy cards today, consider choosing one that supports movement towards your goal. Some possibilities include inspired action, clarity of purpose, confidence, positive outcome, clear communication. Remember, the trend energy card isn't accomplishing the work for you. It's helping establish an environment that supports the direction you've chosen. Then ask yourself one simple question. What's one action I can take today that matches this trend? Just one, not 20, one meaningful step. So let's spend a few quiet moments together. Find a comfortable position. Allow your shoulders to relax. Take a slow breath in and gently breathe out. Again, breathe in slowly and exhale completely. Allow your breathing to become comfortable and natural. Imagine yourself standing at the beginning of a peaceful path. You don't need to see the entire journey. You only need to see the next few steps. Notice how peaceful it feels to let go of needing every answer right now. Bring your intention gently into your awareness. Whatever you're working toward, simply hold it without forcing anything. Now quietly ask yourself, what is one inspired action I could take today? Don't search for the perfect answer. Simply allow one small idea to come naturally. Perhaps it's making a call, writing a page, starting a project, finishing something you've already begun, learning one new skill, or simply resting so you have the energy to move forward tomorrow. Whatever comes to mind, accept it. Imagine yourself taking that one action with confidence. See yourself continuing your trend patiently, allowing it time to develop while showing up each day. Feel yourself becoming someone who follows through, someone who trusts the process, someone who continues moving forward one step at a time. Take another slow breath. Notice a quiet sense of momentum beginning to build. When you're ready, take one final deep breath and gently open your eyes. As always, remember that manifestation isn't about forcing life to happen exactly the way we imagine. It's about intentionally creating an environment that supports the direction we've chosen and then participating in that direction through our actions. Create the trend. Give it time. Observe what changes. Adjust when necessary. And keep taking the next inspired step. Thank you so much for joining me for another Frequency Friday. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love to hear how you're working with 14.1 Hertz. Let me know in the comments what inspired action you're planning to take today. I'll see you next Friday as we continue exploring another preset frequency on the JU1000. Until then, take care, keep experimenting, and keep moving forward one intentional step at a time.